Hi you guys, welcome back to Phil and Alex 2. So I have gotten a lot of questions on kind of my journey to becoming a nurse, and more specifically my journey to become a NICU nurse. So back when I was in college, I went in undeclared and kind of toyed around with a couple majors and wasn't quite sure my first year. And the summer in between, I actually was a camp counselor, assistant camp counselor at a summer camp, and someone had injured their toe. And so every night I would go in and kind of clean it up and like rebandage it and, send them on their way. And I remember one night they said, "You really enjoy this, don't you?" And I'm like, I kind of do. Like that kind of, the whole process I just really liked. And so it got my mind thinking of maybe a different career that I wanted to go into, and I was specifically thinking healthcare. So when I went back to school, I was very blessed that our school already had a nursing program. And so I actually applied, and I was very, very, very blessed, and I got in right away. So I got in for my second semester of sophomore year, which I know it is very, very hard to get into a lot of nursing programs, and I really feel like God just blessed me and allowed me to get into that. I think if I knew how difficult it would have been to get into it, I might have been a little bit afraid to kind of pursue it. So anyways, I was in the program, and it was a 4-year program. I had already done my first year as a freshman, not doing any nursing classes. So I graduated in 5 years with my bachelor's degree in nursing. I absolutely loved my school. I thought it was amazing. There's different nursing programs. Some you don't do your clinicals until the very end of the nursing program. This one you did clinicals, which means you go into the hospital and do hands-on work with nurses, with your teachers, and experiences right off the bat. So every single semester I was in the hospital, which I think is really important just so you know exactly what you're getting into. Some people think they want to go into nursing, and then towards the end of that nursing program, they get into the hospital and realize this isn't exactly what I wanted to do. So I was just really lucky and very thankful that our nursing program was laid out the way it was. So my typical week in nursing school, I did my general ed just like any person in college, but for the nursing classes, we would have, a couple of classes every single semester, and then tagged onto your main class was the clinicals that we would go to. So we had our med-surg rotation where we would be on the medical surgical floor, and that was where we learned a lot of our nursing basics and got to get really hands-on. We did our OB rotation, which is very specialized, so we did a lot of observation. The next one we did pediatrics, and we got to be on the pediatric medical surgical floor, and then we got to go view and experience different specialties in pediatrics. Surprisingly, when I did my pediatric rotation, I actually said, there is no way I will ever be a pediatric nurse. I think the rule is never say that without God saying, I think you might be, because I really thought it was really hard for me that semester. I would have patients that they would look at you with those puppy dog eyes saying, please don't, I don't want any pain, and it just broke my heart. It was really, really hard. But I was really excited for my first day to go into the NICU. We got one day during our pediatric rotation to go observe. NICU is very specific, very protective of their patients, which obviously understandable. So you just got to observe and maybe kind of help with maybe a blood pressure or something like that. I was so excited that morning. I couldn't sleep that night. I was so wired. I just couldn't fall asleep. I finally fell asleep at the wee hours of the morning. I woke up super late, so I didn't eat breakfast, and we had to get there so early I probably wouldn't have eaten breakfast anyways because I like to snooze. And so when I got there, I was sleepy and I was hungry, and then it was actually during this time where it was flu season, so everybody was gowning up for all the patients. So I would put on this gown and mask before we would do anything with the patient, and it was underneath a heat lamp. So I was hot, I was hungry, and I was tired. I was helping them do something, like just not really like patient care, but just like was helping them hold for something that they were doing. I, all of a sudden, started feeling flush, and my mouth was like breathy. All of a sudden, everything is starting to go dark, and I say, can I sit down for a moment? I am really lucky. There was a chair behind me. I sat down in a chair. I turned and like rolled the chair back and like laid my head against the wall, and I just browned out. I didn't black out where I like passed out and was unresponsive. I browned out where everything went dark, but I could still like hear everybody's voices around me. Guys, I am a NICU nurse, and I'm just telling you that was my first and only experience in nursing school. So that was my experience in the hospital. They came over, brought me juice and crackers. I was mortified. I was so embarrassed. But that was like the one day that I was so excited for, because I thought, you know, I think I really want to be a NICU nurse. I really liked OB. I loved that rotation, but I really wanted to be a NICU nurse. And then I left thinking, oh my gosh, maybe I'm not meant to be a NICU nurse. Well, I got over that. But okay, the rest of my clinicals after pediatrics, we did mental health, public health, and at our advanced med-surg rotation, which was like ICU and things like that. So we went through all of nursing school, and I graduated. But while I was in nursing school, I actually applied and started working in the hospital, which I always encourage anybody who's in nursing school. That is like one of the best things that you can put on your application, that you've actually been in the hospital. So I applied and worked for about maybe a year and a half or 2 years as a nurse's aide in a hospital. So I had that. When we did our last semester, we also got to do a leadership class. I went to the hospital I wanted to work at, the floor I wanted to work at, which was the NICU, at the same place that I had fainted like 2 years prior, and I got to follow around the manager. And that was like part of a leadership class project that I had to do. That took a lot of work to get in there and get my face known. So those, I would say, are the two biggest tips: being in the hospital and getting into like the floor or the area that you want to work at, and kind of start becoming known there if you can through school, if that makes sense. So I graduated, I took my NCLEX, I passed. We actually did a Kaplan review, which is like a training class to go into your boards, and that was really helpful to kind of get into the mindset of really good test taking, which was really helpful. I passed my NCLEX the first time, and then the applications to all of the different hospitals started. I actually think we started applying like 6 months prior to wanting to start our job. Now let me explain how that's the case. So when you graduate from nursing school, you want to get into a new grad program. So that means the hospital hires specifically new graduates, and they don't just put you through like a 2-week or 6-week training course. They like put you through like a months of like intensive training, and it's on the floor that you're going to be working on. And so you really get like, that is where like the nitty gritty, all the things that you learn in nursing school, now it becomes like applicable. So I applied to the different children's hospitals around, maybe some other hospitals. I was very blessed, and I got into the #1 place that I wanted to work, and it was the children's hospital in the area, and they actually started the new grad program. It's called the Versant program, and that one is very highly accredited and is used in many hospitals across the country now. And I got into their Versant program, which was very intensive in the NICU. Yes, I pretty much got my dream job right off the bat. You can always go into other fields, but if there's something really specific that you want to get into, getting into a new grad program onto the floor that you want to work on for, I would say, the foreseeable future, if not forever, that is the way to get into a specialty. That is how I became a NICU nurse. So if you guys haven't already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and let me know any other questions or nursing specific questions that you would like me to answer, and just leave them in the comments below and I will make a secondary follow-up video to this one. But I hope that this gives some of you a little bit of an idea of what it looks like to become a nurse and maybe to become a NICU nurse if that is your passion. And we will see you guys in our next video. Bye guys.